You're tuned in to The Keetria Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keetria. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
This episode is supported by the wonderful creators of Gratitude Plus app, the app that helps you cultivate a daily practice of gratitude. What are you grateful for today? You can download the app now at the App Store or by visiting gratitudeplusapp.com/style of business. Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks for tuning in for another hot episode of SOB Style of Business, the podcast. This is your host, Keetria, and today I have the magnificent, the wonderful, the terrific, the fantastic, the supreme, I'm pulling everything out of the bag. What else can I say about Richardine? I said terrific, fantastic, the infamous. Hey, I told you we are going to be absolute foolishness, going for absolute foolishness on the show today. Just because it is the 101, episode 101. By the time you guys hear this, we'll be well into the new season, January 2020. Definitely looking forward and excited about that. But I'm excited today because I'm talking to one of my good friends, collaborators, and just a long-time inspiration, Richardine Bartee, who's the founder of and editor of GrungeCake, which is a cultural, entertainment, lifestyle arts publication. She's also a content creator, and like I said earlier, just a wonderful person and visionary when it comes to entertainment and just, music and a lot of the creative arts, so to speak. So based on the East Coast, I know you guys are freezing right about now, and I am not. so I'm going to be a little bit messy in that regard. But other than that, Rich, hey, drop us a quick intro. Let us know who you are for those who are listening who are not familiar. And then we hey, I warned you ahead of time. About coming back on here, so get ready.
You sure did. Well, first and foremost, it's a pleasure to be on here. I am Richardine Bartee, as she said. I had a dream come true with my company, GrungeCake, and it has been a roller coaster, but I am blessed. I've seen so many wonderful parts of the world because of it. I've been invited into some of the most glamorous rooms and places and spaces, and that's all I can really say.
Yeah, and not so glamorous. I know a couple of stories where you... So we'll say those for outside of the podcast to look back and laugh and reflect on. But oh my gosh, let me get it together, man, because I knew ahead of time that I definitely wanted to have you to come in and solidify going into a whole new era. I mean, making it to 100 episodes was definitely a feat, and then just for 101, I was like, man, I got to get Rich back on just to just kind of to recap the launch and how I got started and everything like that. But for this episode, I really want to just take some time and talk about, because I appreciate the things that you're doing, as far as, GrungeCake and just building that brand, because I know it wasn't easy for you to do. So just tell us a bit about, okay, so we know GrungeCake. A lot of people may not be familiar with what that particular brand is and what you do. So just give us a little recap, if you will.
Okay, so it started out as a print publication, and over the years, we've been digital. It also is now, it functions more as content creation, creative agency. I'm doing a lot of creative direction for other people, other artists, other entities, businesses. I also, from the beginning of time, before the magazine was even a thing, I've just always been passionate about helping new artists and new businesses get some light shown on them. So yeah. I've been doing that for quite some time. I'm still doing that. And now I'm I understand, I'm conscious of what I'm doing. Before it was just kind of oh yeah, I really like this person or their music or, what they stand for in their business or their products. Let me tell more people about it. And it just so happens that those people were people in the media who could actually do something and take whatever this new thing is and actually make it a thing.
Yeah.
So I think in the beginning, I didn't really understand my power. I think, I don't know, because I knew what was going to happen if I told, whoever about it. But it wasn't like, oh, yeah, like, I'm going to do this magnificent thing, or I'm going to be able to change somebody's life through it. I don't think I was really
right
there.
You wouldn't think it, so you wasn't like 5 years down the line. You were just right there, just kind of create.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I know, like...
I think you really don't understand it until, like, you're being misused. And then others are like, do you realize what you just did for that person? And, so then it's like, oh, wow, okay. Then it just kind of, like, wakes you up.
Yeah, yeah. On a different level. Yeah, because, I mean, when you, especially when you start out as anybody that's doing, like, something that they're passionate about, I don't know, most of the times you kind of start stuff as a hobby and you don't feel as good as maybe a complex magazine or the Fader or just whatever it is that we sometimes compare ourselves up to, like the bigger brands and names and things like that. But really, that's never supposed to be the purpose. You work within what you're comfortable with creating. And one of the things I appreciate about you is like the evolution of GrungeCake. I remember that first website, the one and I would like go back every couple of months. I'm like, Rich, why do you keep changing the site? Like, because there was a time frame where you just kept changing and updating, and I was like, okay, she must be finding her groove. She's finding her voice. She's getting everything together, which is perfect because you have to do that. You definitely have to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm laughing because I was at the Verizon dinner. They had a dinner for diversity and inclusion, and they invited some people in the media, and I went and I saw a guy, like an artist that I was working with some years ago. His name is Peter Hadar, and I had literally run into him. I hadn't seen him in a long time. And he also said that to me, and I was just laughing. He was like, yeah, you always see the website. This was like last week. He said this to me, and I hadn't seen him in years. So I was just like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, that was me. Well, anything that I do, even the way that I live my life, to a certain extent, it's just in front of people. Yeah. And so I was learning how to code. And it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to update it live. Like, it is what it is. Like, even when I printed the first publication, in it was like, yo, like, go through this thing. And there was a page there that told the readers, like, if you see any things that need to be edited, like, put it right down in there. Like, I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm always the person that I feel like time is, like, escaping me, or I don't have a lot of it. Like, because I'm just so, like, anxious and excited to try things and do things. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't have the time to run a business and support and help all of these people and, create a website. Like, I have to do it all while it's happening. Like, it's mobile. It's now. Like, in your face.
That's true. That's true. And speaking of, I want to kind of go a little bit deeper into the time, like you just mentioned, not having enough time and always feeling anxious and having to move and get things done. So, like, what are you doing to kind of counteract that? Like, you know what I mean? Because especially with being in the entertainment industry, I mean, you're in New York, for God's sake. So I know that that's a busy time. I know, and I remember, like, there's been some weeks for you to where you were, that was earlier this year, come to think of it, to where you were hopping from event to event to event to event, in and out the Ubers or whatever. So, so how do you, like, how are you? Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm surprised you didn't have stock in the company by that time. Right. So how are you balancing that? Like, how do you how are you managing, as far as having all these things? Because there's a lot more. See, we haven't even touched the surface of a lot of the things that you're involved in. We're just talking about GrungeCake right now. But what are you doing for your mental, for the sanity part of everything that's going on?
Since 2015, like I've gotten a shrink or a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And for me, it really helps because I found myself saying this to a lot of people who either are in the business or aren't in the business. Like, I'm someone that deals with so many different personalities on a day-to-day basis, personally and professionally. And then a lot of the times, like, I have a lot of highs and lows. Yeah. And whenever I find myself trying to speak to someone about it, be it like a friend that's not in the business, or like a family member, or maybe like a significant other, they can't really grasp what I'm saying. Like, they love me, or they want to be there for me and support me, but they don't really understand what I'm saying, and they can't really feel what I'm feeling. So while it's good to speak to these people that are in your life, I think it's always good to have somebody that's neutral of it, and they're not responding based on how they feel about you specifically. Like, they are like literally just taking what you say at face value, and based on like their professional level, they're giving it back to you. You know what I'm saying? And allowing you to see what it is that you're saying and feeling with clarity. And not from a place of, this is my daughter, or this is my sister. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's a different kind of thing. It's a bias there, respectfully. So I've been doing that. And my outlet also is writing. So anytime that I'm feeling in a jam, or there's something that I want to say that may not be heard with like the right intention or the right ears, I just write it down, like, to let it go from my mind. And as far as like hopping around and balance, I don't really know what balance really is. I know that when I'm not working, I feel like I'm stagnant. Yeah. Like, and it's not a good feeling for me. So I guess in the same way that an addict is, they need this thing, like, that is, like, synonymous to a drug. And by no means am I, like, glorifying drugs or anything like that.
Of course not. Yeah.
But, it's very similar in that way. Like, I do what I love. So, when you're doing what you love, you don't really think about it like, okay, yeah, this is work time, and then this is personal time, or, like, social time. All of it has been all in one for me. Yeah. I don't really, if I do self-care, it's because either I'm on a vacation and it was paid for through my work. Naturally, I just want to go and, like, if I'm in a new land, it's like, why not seize the opportunity to try and go connect with the people that are in the business on that side of the world. Like, that's how I'm always thinking. I'm always thinking about new ways to connect and, like, make sense of what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think you do a great job of it. I mean, that's one of the things I've always admired about you, is that, I guess, sometimes we see only certain aspects of people. And especially, like, even sometimes when we're close to people, like, I think you and I have a pretty good relationship to where I believe I know, okay, Richardine is good. Okay, maybe maybe she's not good this day or whatever. When you try to find balance and just try to figure out the different phases that people are going through. And I want to backtrack a bit, because you mentioned something that was interesting when you were talking about, just like how the drug addicts, they have to do the drugs and things like that. And to me, it sounds more like when you get into like a habit, even if, habits are good and bad, right? So you got the habits that are not so good. So I know with you, like, balancing, you have to be social, because just based off of your career field and the things that you're involved with, you have to be social. So when it comes to, like, social media especially, because that's, they compare that to, like, being addicted to, you're addicted to social. So like when you're working within the industry that requires you to be social, and you are on social media, what are you doing to decompress and detach? Like, how do you make sure that that's not a part of your life and just keeping that based on like the career or the work that you do? Because sometimes you get those personal comments, or you get those people that don't like this or that or whatever sort of thing that you've written or whatever. But how do you balance that to make sure that that's not interfering and intruding on the mental side as well?
Well, I thank God that I was born the year that I was born, because I feel like I
right.
one of the last people or from the last generation who kind of had that dichotomy of like, okay, yeah, you grew up on a computer, but it was before like the internet boom and like the social media phenomenon, so you still know how to like conduct yourself and be social like without those things, and you know what it is to come up and actually go outside and seek someone to have a conversation, or like to start a relationship with someone. Like that kind of stuff is still the norm. So like for me, like when I think that the way that I process social media is very different than someone who is much younger than I am. Like when I'll post whatever I post, and then I could turn it off and then go do whatever. Like when it's time to go to sleep, it's time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like
right.
I don't watch television. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember saying something to somebody on social media, because this is when I went through the whole thing with the police and my family, and I was trying to make sense of what was going on, because after that, like my mind was just very like gray and like cloudy. Like I didn't understand what was going on, and those were definitely symptoms of depression, like kicking in, like not really understanding what happened to us and trying to seek some sort of like answers. And when I was putting that online and asking questions and speaking to Sean King, he emailed me, and he told me how difficult it would be basically to combat the police and what had happened. And I was like, okay, this is somebody who knows what they're doing. I spoke to lawyers and all that other stuff, and they all told me the same thing. And feeling defeated, you know what I'm saying, but also understanding the climate of where we are and where we live and who we are, as Black people, and especially a Black woman. I was like, okay, like I'm going to chalk this up and take it as an experience, and through my writing, maybe I'll be able to speak for other people. And then when I did that, I don't know if you were able to see it, but I did write about it on the website. And so many people started like hitting me up on Instagram and like sending me emails and saying, oh, I went through this also, and you're so brave to talk about it. Like we can't even believe that happened to you, and you're so strong, this and that and that. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm strong, like how you're perceiving me to be. Because I definitely had that moment of confusion also. But to answer your question, though, because, I mean, even when I posted about that on social media, there was people, I guess, like Sean King hecklers and his haters, and was, like, saying some stuff like, oh, you don't watch Law and Order? And I was like, no, I don't watch TV. I work with the people that are on TV. So there's, like, I don't...
Right, I'm not in it, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm on the back end. It's okay. Like... And they felt like I was being snotty, and I'm like, like here I am in a moment of distress, trying to understand myself as a human being and what happened to my family and I. And you're hitting me up talking about, oh, don't you watch Law and Order? Like, excuse me? But then when you clap back, it's a problem. I don't know. Like, social media, you got to know, like, you have to, first and foremost, it's important to know who you are, right?
Oh, yeah,
like,
definitely.
I'm in my 30s, so I know who I am. Thank God.
Exactly. Right.
Older than me they don't have it together.
Right.
So I'm not saying age is maturity or any of that. But I know who I am. So there's nothing anyone can say to me on social media or in person, for that matter, that's going to deter me. Like, it's not going to make me feel any less than who I am, unless I'm out there doing foolishness and I'm not being myself, my authentic self. And then I'm playing myself. So if somebody could come and say something, I'll be like, damn, I really play myself.
Yeah, you play, exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, and to speak on your point about the situation, I know you had, because I know you had just gotten back from was it the Grammys, the Grammy Awards? It was, yeah, some awards. And then I'm hearing this little buzz about the whole the cop situation, and I don't know, like if you want to share that, you can, but to me, when I was reading the article and what happened, and you were talking about how you were put in cuffs, and just all unexpected, and just like the identity, like just a whole scheme of everything. It was winter time, and I'm like, it was vulnerable to me. I was like, man, I can't even believe that you but I know that you are that type of person that does not mind sharing those experiences just so that you can possibly help somebody else. But I was like, man, that's real cool that you would be able to share that story, because it's happened to other people, but never in 1,000 years. Yeah, that was so crazy.
Friends of mine also that I didn't even know, like, that happened to them, and I found out after I wrote what I wrote, and I was like, my gosh. Like, I realized that it's a thing that people don't like to talk about.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, Richardine, do this for the people, because I know we probably lost some people. So, guys, apologies. Give us a recap of what this situation, what we're talking about, just so that just to shed light on how this is leading to what we're talking about now.
Okay, so at the top of the year. As Keetria mentioned, I was hopping around. We did events we had an event for New Year's Eve in Atlanta. Then after that, we ended up going to do events all week for Super Bowl. And then after that, we were going to the Grammys for the first time in Los Angeles. So I was all over the place.
Yeah.
And after the Grammys, I flew back to New York, and I was going to stay out there, or I think I was going to go to Houston. I was going to go elsewhere, but something was just like, go home. So I went home. I think I don't know, maybe my mom was sick or something. And so I decided to just come home. I came home, and I can't even tell you what day it was. The Grammys was on the 3rd, I believe, on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I came back, I want to say like 2 days after that, or maybe a day after that. And then that weekend is when the police came to our house. So just imagine coming from like
a high,
celebrating. Like, a high, exactly. A high, a professional high. We went to the Grammys for the first time. We've been working in an industry for over a decade, and like you are finally starting to get like top tier like recognition, right? And being invited to things. Then you come back home, and home is home.
Right.
It's not the Grammys. So the day before, I'll just say Friday, I had come home, so I was still jet lagged and I was sleeping. Apparently, the police had come to my house, and they were looking to arrest my nephew's friend. I learned later on that my nephew went to go pick him up from work and to bring him by our house. This is my nephew's childhood friend. They were in a musical group together when they were children. And so, somebody comes to your house, you're not thinking any of that. And as far as I knew, he didn't display any, like, criminal behavior that I knew about. But then, Keetria, you also know me. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, hi. And then I'm, like, off doing whatever I'm doing. I'm not really interacting with people in the way that normal people would do. Because when I'm doing my work, I'm doing my work. So they came to the house. They arrested him. And so they were just still in front of the house. So later on, I learned that they stayed at our house because they didn't have a search warrant, and they needed a search warrant to come into our home. So they stayed there from the afternoon up until about 9 o'clock in the morning when they broke down the door. So
that's crazy.
Members of my family tried to leave the house, to go to the store, to do regular things, and the police were advising them not to leave the house. And I was hearing this from my window, so anyway, I was in my bedroom. I was texting a group of friends, saying, yo, this is really freaking me out. I still have the text messages. I don't know what's going on, taking video, putting it on Instagram stories, showing the cops outside, showing them pointing a flashlight in my room, and it was just all very weird. We would ask questions, they wouldn't answer. So I just thought it was weird. I'm like, to my knowledge, I don't know what's going on with this weird behavior. I know the climate of, what's happening in America to black people. This is very weird. I am who I am in the entertainment industry, but I don't know much about law enforcement and rights and all that stuff. So I'm texting people and trying to find out, if what's going on is normal. And they were like, well, we don't know, but we're going to look into it. So I go to sleep, wake up, the police are still there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember,
Yeah, they break down the door. I'm hearing them screaming, yelling downstairs. I'm on the second floor. And I'm in my room. I'm not even fully dressed. I'm going to my phone to call my best friend, Bobby, that's in Denver. And as soon as I press the phone, because I'm like, they're in my house. You know what I'm saying? Now, because I was texting him the night before, I'm like, now they're in my house, and I don't know what's going on. When they bust down the door, they never said they had a search warrant. I kept asking to see the warrant. They never showed us the warrant.
Oh, wow.
So they got me in my bedroom. I'm asking questions. They're yelling at me. They're behaving like I'm resisting. You're in my house. I'm not clothed. I don't know what's going on. Right. Nobody's explaining anything. Members of my family are telling me to be quiet. I'm like, no. Listen, these police are going to do whatever it is that they want to do, because they've showed us that over and over, time and time again. But I'm going to ask questions. I'm not just going to allow somebody to come in the house and take complete control of what's going on here and not ask questions.
Right, yeah.
So that happened.
Yeah.
And I'm completely confused. You know what I'm saying?
That's a lot.
That's
a lot, right?
It's a lot. And
right.
it's within those moments you're thinking yo, they definitely had guns on them. It's you just don't know.
You don't know what happened, right.
You don't know what's going to happen. You don't even know if you're going to make it towards the end of the day or not. You have no idea. So I'm like, you know what? Me being who I am, I'm going to ask questions.
Right.
So,
yeah, and I know
that's what happened.
Yeah, and well, I tell you what, you definitely asked questions, and you also created a conversation online, which we're going to jump into the content creation and your storytelling ability here in a bit, because when I saw that article, I was like, wait a minute. I thought didn't you just come from the grave? It's I'm trying to, process what was going on, but exactly. But I know when you put it out there, a lot of people were reacting. That's why I was like, okay, I know she, so it took me some time to really catch up to the drama of what was happening, because initially I was thinking, okay, well maybe, they went in and it was the wrong person and they left out. But when you started getting, when I started getting the gist of what happened, I was just floored. But you put that story online, okay? You start, you're having these conversations with Sean King and other people who are testifying like that it happened to them as well. So this is a part of who you are. I've always known you to take these experiences and create. You express what it means to you, and not necessarily to for a prize or anything, but I think that just kind of getting people involved in these conversations and letting them know your experiences really helps other people talk about them. So let's talk about how do you see yourself as a content creator or storyteller, or if you see yourself as one at all, how do you how would you say you got started or how did you? I don't even know the right question to ask, but I think you know what I'm getting at. Like, how did you get so involved with that?
I think I've always had like the passion for writing since I was a child. But I realized that my writing style was special, or the things that I was saying was relatable to people when I was in school. I had amazing like English teachers, and they would see the things that I wrote, and they're just like, wow, like, you're really bright. I wasn't much of a talker when I got to junior high school. Like, I was very chatty when I was in elementary school, and I'll get report cards, and on a report card, my sixth grade report card, just for sixth grade, Miss Johnson, she's like, yeah, your daughter's great, but you know, she talks a lot.
She doing too much chatting, yeah, right.
Yeah, she chats too much, but that's because like I'll get my work done before she's even done. I'll copy whatever down, and it's like, okay, I have nothing to do. So now I'm like idle, and now I'm getting in trouble because I'm chatty. And I think now that I'm saying it, I think that's why I love to work, because if I'm idle, I get into things, and I don't, you know, and being from like inner city, like urban, there's so many things to get into, and I just don't want to be like, I don't want to be that person. Like, I've definitely been that person, and I know what the end result is, and I refuse for that to be my happy ending, so to speak, or my demise. Like, I would rather be the person that tells stories, whether it be my own or someone else's, than to do other things that you know, I don't want to end up on the news and then they're telling my story. Like,
we don't.
Richardine Bartee, hey, you know, no, we don't want to do that. And I think those people, respectfully though, that do make it on the news, you know, some of those people that I've grown up with and that unfortunately had to take a different road in life, I know how to tell their stories because not only did I grow up with them, but I was them.
Yeah.
So I was able to show the human side, you know, like to always be honest, but to also tell the story for them so people can also see why they ended up that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because maybe like economic disadvantages and they couldn't be children anymore. They had to go hustle to make ends meet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe their mom. It's so layered, but like that's what I did. I anytime I had a problem, I would write, and it started to become stronger in junior high school because a lot of my friends, or my closest friends, they were murdered broad daylight, and I was going to funerals, and I was young.
Oh wow.
So now as an adult, I can see like how that. You know what I'm saying? Like post-traumatic
stress, yeah.
Stress, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know what that stuff was. Just kind of, it's like normalized, and that's just life as you know it. You don't know anything else. So I took to writing. And then one of the teachers, Miss Jennifer Moser, she would kill me because I always call her Miss, and she's like, stop calling me Miss. She's like, now that I'm older.
That's too funny.
Miss Moser. But she saw the talent in me, and she told me about a program that was happening at the Studio Museum in Harlem, and another one that was happening on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and it was called I want to say like a poetry slam kind of thing. Yeah, Youth Speak. It was called Youth Speak, and then I think it changed its name to Urban Word, and you could go there and write, and then they had a lot of like teams that were like slamming, and I wasn't as like expressive as I am now. So when I did read my poems, I was just kind of like just reading them to read them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know, like I wasn't really like connected.
Just to say you did it, right? Right.
Yeah, performance-wise, and hella nervous.
I know what you mean.
I mean,
I know what you mean.
They're like, you you are a creative writer. Like, and I will argue or debate anybody down. Like, I used to do that a lot with teachers in class. And, you know, they'll teach us one way, and I'm like, well, what about this? And they'll get angry. So anybody that knows me at that time, they know I used to get kicked out of class.
Right. One of those types of students, right.
Yeah.
We're going to need you to stand outside.
Yeah, I didn't talk much. Now, like, when I was in junior high school, it's high school, but when I did talk, it was like, okay, well, that's cool, but what about this? And it would grind their gear, because then I'm making their job harder, quote unquote, you know? So that's why I feel like that's what I'm here for. I'm here to tell people stories, and even when I write music reviews, it's not really about what the person is selling, so to speak, in a traditional format. I talk about how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
And that's why people continue to send their music to me, and they want me to just write about it. Like, I have contributors, but, like, they'll be like, no, we want you to write it. And I'm like,
right.
that is, like, that is defeating the purpose. Like, how am I ever going to grow? Like,
no, because you're a writer. Look, you are a writer and a storyteller, and I know that to be truth. I'm real quick. I'm going to all right, so a few years back, I remember when you were down here in Houston. You had just come from South by, and you there was a great injustice that happened in Austin, and I was like, okay, you were just I just remember looking at you like you were just like so bent on getting that story told. You were finna get it out there. You were gonna stand your ground, and I was like, are you gonna publish that? You was like, yeah, I'm publishing. You know, I am sending this all over. You know, it was just it was funny, but it was also, I know it was serious business for you for the situation that happened, but I was just like, I was undone because you were just so adamant on getting that story out. You didn't give a damn like who, what, when, where. You just knew that you were going to write that story, and then you published it. And I was like, oh my goodness, right? You know, she went all out, and she just put this situation on blast. But I think that's one of the things that make people, that's one of the reasons why people gravitate to you, because you're not afraid to just say it and just put it in perspective. So I definitely love that about what you're doing. And speaking of the things that you're doing, tell us like let's do a year in review. I know you had like a great 2019, and I know you have some wonderful things coming up for 2020. So just kind of tell us what you got going, and then I want to get your take on some inspirational stuff too before we wrap up.
Okay. Well, I've been able to work with some magnificent artists, like new artists. Like there's one actually in Houston. Her name is Mikkel Rose. She makes like dance music that's like soul driven. It's really good.
I know her. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, she's I know. Yeah, she's hot. I haven't been to one of her live sets, but I know she does R&B. And actually I met her at one of the fitness gyms. But yeah, she's great. Yeah, she's good. Small world. Small world. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So happy to hear that.
Yeah, tell her. She knows who I am. She knows. We run some of the same circles, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's wild. Okay, and then also a young man named Nick Pratt that I like over the years. His music was submitted to me when I was working with Respect Magazine.
Oh yeah.
And DJing up, and I really liked his like southern drawl. And he recently teamed up with a producer, and they have a group called The Slab. So he just released his project, and so we're working on that. And then there's another guy named Lucky Seven from Buffalo. He's friends with the Griselda guys, the Conway the Machine, and Benny the Butcher, and all these guys that like recently signed deals with Rock Nation and Shady Records. So they're like huge like Buffalo kids, and it's been really amazing this year. Like, I mean, outside of the stuff that happened with the police, it just made me, like, I think I had more time. This is what I'm going to say to you. Because this is like, I just had like a aha moment.
Okay, let's see it.
About balance, right? So here's what I'll say. Like, every time that I've tried to have a little bit more, like, to douse a little bit more, like, personal time, or like to try to separate things, it's like the universe or God is like,
oh man, that's my love. I love that. Yes. Oh, you know what? Let me hush, because we'll go into a conversation about the cosmos and all this other metaphysical stuff. So you do your thing.
Teacher, every time, and I'm very stubborn.
Right.
In my personal life, I'm very stubborn, and I know that about myself. But then the other thing about it is, because of who I am, and going back to like the whole like being black and knowing what it is to be excluded and wanting to be inclusive by nature and receive everybody.
Yeah.
I try not to judge, and I should probably do some more sifting. But then, honestly, I don't have time to do that. So it's like, and maybe I just don't know what that looks like. Like, how much time does it really take to sift?
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So anytime I'm doing something, I just kind of like throw that person into the mix. Like, yeah, okay, like, this is what we doing. Like, oh, you say you want to be my friend. Well, this is what I got going on. Like, this is the only time you can see me, because I'm so focused on my work and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So either you come and join the train or you don't.
Yeah.
And I want to say that that's what I learned for 2019, is that the time that I take to be inclusive, I should just take that time to focus on myself. If I'm going to go ahead and reach out to somebody and try to be social, like, I should just be like, okay, well, Richardine, what do you need?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do that, and then anybody that's on that same wavelength, whether they were in my life before or they're going to be somebody that's entering it, then they can meet me there. And then maybe that'll be the sifting process where I know, like, okay, well, this doesn't feel right because this is not what I would do for myself.
Right. It won't resonate with you.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. We have to do a good old mental wellness talk going into a little bit later in the year. So we go. Yeah, okay. So you coming back? We're gonna put it out there. You will come back later in 2020, and we're gonna go in a whole different direction with the show. But before we wrap up, Rich, words of encouragement, inspiration, motivation. Just give us something that we can use for 2020 and beyond.
Wow. Always take your time to think about what you're going to say before you type it or write it or say it to another person. Because I feel that even though moments are fleeting moments, a lot of the time, like, words are forever, you know, and like what you say to people, whether they read it or you say it to them, they remember how you made them feel. And if your intention is absolute and you're fine with that and you send it off or you say it, then it's good. If it's something that you're going to regret later on, or if this is like a mistake that you've made with somebody that you love, then, this definitely applies to you. You need to take time to know what it is that you want to say. Like, when people are sharpening knives, and they're doing that with the precision. Yeah. Like, know that, like, when you throw that knife or when you shoot that arrow,
that's it.
Yes. And, because sometimes you can take a lifetime trying to correct that wrong, and, sometimes people won't forgive you. Yeah. And then you have to live with that. So that's what I would say.
Well, that's definitely news that we can use. I mean, that's a difficult one. Sometimes, we forget that we need to be mindful and think about things before we move. But I'm definitely gonna carry that into the remainder of this. Like I said, 2019, 2020 is coming up, which we will have, I guess, be listening to this by that time. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Hey, yeah. Hey, I'm ready. You have to let me know when you're back in the area so we can go and celebrate the New Year in style. We got to do something.
Indeed, I was going to be down there for Christmas, but it's going to be the New Year.
Okay, well, I'm gonna hold you to it. If not South by Southwest, I'll definitely be looking forward to seeing you soon. So, Rich, let us know where we can find you online, social media handles, websites, all that other good stuff. If anybody wants to connect with you and learn more about what you have going, please drop all that information.
Okay. You can find me on Twitter at TheYams, TheYams. You can find me on Instagram at Richardine Bartee. That's RICHARDINE. B as in boy, ARTEE. You could visit my website at GrungeCake.com, GrungeCake.com. Check it out. Learn more about new artists, new businesses, music news, all that good stuff, and be on the lookout for my book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, hey, okay, so we gotta have you back for the book too. Okay, we'll include that with the next one. Yeah, right.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Keetria.
Hey, not a problem. Looking forward to touching base with you soon, Rich. So you take care. All right, guys. Richardine Bartee, CEO, founder of GrungeCake. We'll talk to you soon, Rich.
Alrighty.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on SOB. We hope this episode has been resourceful. If you'd like to check out the latest articles or follow Keetria's website updates, just log on to Keetria.com or follow her on Twitter at KEETRIA.